Good evening, Twitch and YouTube. Thank you. Thank you for popping on by. So, we will be heading into our things here today just a little bit. Not exactly certain what I was going to be into tonight because, well, life gets ahead of you. That's just how it is. So, we are going to look things over, probably see if there's some things that I'm just hoping to react to, because it is what it is. There's some craziness in the world, and, some of us just want to kick back, relax, have a good chat, occasionally a good debate, other things going down. So we will see about getting things on the road. So we are of course it didn't do what I wanted it to do. Pardon the scuff. One moment, let me see if I can get this fixed. There we go. And I figured today one second, thank you. One second here. See if I can do something real quick. Okay. See if that works. Oh, of course. I'll just have to do that a little bit later, won't I? All right. Well, let's see. How about that? This better? There we go. All right. Okay, let's kick this off. We are going to go with some Hero Hay and check some of his stuff out right here. And of course, we'll just kind of see how this goes for some of that. Okay, but first things first. Forgot what I was going to do. Well, I'm just going to see about moving myself just a little bit off, because I know Hero Hay has managed to become a VTuber himself, and I don't want to get over his image. Just what it is,
Much crazy stuff happening in the VTuber space lately. All the Cinder stuff, the raccoon stuff, Kirsha leaflet stuff that just happened.
Yeah, that stuff actually going on was kind of crazy over the last week. Oh my god. And of course, Kirsha took a ban for one day because a whole bunch of people brigaded her. I mean, come on.
Happened. And now also, recently, VTuber Scooch-chan, hopefully I said that right. But yeah, Scooch-chan got some crazy hate from a Twitter freak type, getting like 2,500 likes on a tweet that was getting all mad at her because she had the audacity to disagree with feminist extremists.
Don't tell me it's bent. Please, don't tell me it's bent, dude.
Trying to incite violence against people and like advocating for violence against people. Similarly, Kitsu has had a lot of harassment sent her way because she's also standing up for men. And in particular, her situation, looking at it, she had like this crazy stalker for a number of weeks. So she's been dealing with like all kinds of crazy stuff for a while. But that's culminated over the last 24 hours or so with these extremists also doxing her. So yeah, we'll get all the context to that stuff. That's just like the prelude, the intro. Now on to the madness. I saw this tweet going around yesterday. You can see it's got 2,500 likes. But first, let's get the context to what they're responding to, that being this tweet from May 12th from Scooch-chan, who says, "The amount of people in the comments who just don't get that men want a cute, loving girlfriend is beyond me. They call them creeps for wanting actual love and not a girl boss who only wants your money."
Now, I can definitely speak to that one. Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm married. Been married. Long time. It's one of those things. The definition of actual love in a long term relationship, it's one of those things where people just kind of notice that, there's the romantic love and for dating and all that stuff, but when it comes to moving forward with your life, you basically are with somebody and you've made that commitment, and sometimes it's just hanging out next to each other, you know basically they're supposed to be your best friend for life. It's kind of what it is. So wanting actual love is important, because most of the things in modern territory of girl bossing is she's only for that bag. She only wants to get her bag. You're just a side piece.
That responding to this clip that was getting a ton of traction on Twitter. You can see here 146,000 likes, 44.2 million views. And we'll take a brief scroll through this clip. I'm not going to play the whole thing because you know how YouTube DMCA can be. And then I'll show you the synopsis for this anime. So it's from this anime, Josie Tutora. Synopsis being, equipped with his passion for diving and admiration for marine biology, university student Sunio Suzukawa tries his best to juggle several part-time jobs to earn enough money to study abroad. But one night, in a fateful accident, he meets a girl in a wheelchair, driving his current path into a detour. The girl Kumiko, who prefers to be called Josie, initially comes off as rude. Sunio, however, is then convinced by Josie's grandmother to take on the paid job to be Josie's caretaker. Despite being annoyed with her bossy demeanor, Sunio sees the opportunity to save more funds to support his academic dream. Nevertheless, after putting up with Josie's behavior for some time, Sunio tries to quit, only to discover Josie's dreams of traversing the outside world to experience a life free from her crippling condition. Changing his mind, Sunio decides to accompany Josie in exploring the wonders that the world has to offer. Through their time together, the two begin to realize that the traits that bind them may be vital toward fulfilling their respective aspirations.
Now, honestly, that seems just completely wholesome. Now, what I see for this tweet, excuse me, this being a perverted fantasy? No. This is basically, it's really hard with regards to when you have someone who winds up in a wheelchair, and for the last, oh god, almost 4 months, my wife was actually stuck in a wheelchair, and I had to help her every step of the way, getting into the house, getting out of the house, getting her food, getting everything, and taking care of her. And the one thing is, it's a lot of work, and you have to put a lot of love into that. And the other thing is, when you're loved in return, you get shown that in different ways, and you just have to be there for them, and it becomes kind of a bond. And I could start getting emotional about this, but yes, this isn't a perverted fantasy. This is literally what men tend to see, that bond. They want that connection. If they were to have that connection, they would keep it hard, because they know everything is reciprocated.
So yeah, once again, then this clip gets posted to Twitter. Scoochian responds, saying, the amount of people in comments who just don't get that men want a cute loving girlfriend is beyond me. They call them creeps for wanting actual love and not a girl boss who only wants your money. And yeah, in the responses to that clip, there were all kinds of toxic responses like this one saying, weird, since most men abandon their disabled and chronically ill spouses.
Now, honestly, with that kind of take, I would definitely say there is a high possibility that there are a lot of people that really just don't care for other people these days. I mean, you can look at the divorce rates recently. I mean, every time that we've done more research and different stuff into this, there are a lot of people that see that divorce rates just keep climbing, because people don't want to actually invest in that level of a connection. And that, by far, is the saddest thing that I can say. Because when you commit to somebody, it doesn't matter, man, woman, whatever, if you commit to somebody, then yeah, it is what it is. And abandoning other people, that's just evil.
That getting a community note that says, this claim most likely refers to a widely cited 2015 study suggesting that men are more likely to leave their disabled or chronically ill spouses. This was retracted due to a coding error that invalidated its conclusions. Other weird people taking a different approach, for example, this comment that says, that's a little girl. This is weird.
Okay, this goes into the whole, it's an anime, dude. The girl in the chair could be 18 to 20 years old. Yeah, and the added context, she's 24. Yeah, that's not exactly weird. Unfortunately, the people that tend to screw this up is they always look into it, like lolicons, that kind of stuff. And Lolly is a character type. It's not a child. People that don't understand this really, I mean, seriously, there's an anime I would recommend for people to actually look at, but it's not exactly copyright friendly, or I'd do my own personal reacts to it. I might even one day consider Patreon or something to be able to do that, but it's the Tenchi Muyo OVA. That really kind of plays into it.
Community note saying she's 24. Or this one, for example, that says, you show this as fantasy because it's not true for the majority. You show this as fantasy because it's not true for the majority of men who participate in abuse of disabled people. Huh? No,
What?
most men do not abuse disabled people. OP's like, did you even try to think before telling that lie? We know this is demonstrably false because we know most disabled people are abused, so at least half of those doing that are men. That's just from common sense. It gets exponentially worse looking at the actual data. The actual data you mentioned showed that less than 25% of men left their disabled partners, which, if you didn't know, is way less than 75%. That person then going on to hit us with
wall of text, crits you for 5,000.
activate my trap card, not mere force, wall of text, and people responding to this saying things like, this doesn't really debunk what he said. Yeah, that's what he said. This is in absolutely no way an indication that the majority of men abuse people with disabilities, you frickin' numpty. Claims evidence, cites a survey. Surveys are not evidence. In fact, their use in research papers discredit research institutions as a whole. We're not going to go read that whole thing. I'm just giving you some examples of like the toxic comments, right? So let's get back to the main point. That being Scoot Chan pointing out the toxic responses and how people...
And of course, people are going to come after Scoo about this because she decided to step into it and actually try to defend men. Which sucks, because there are so many frickin' feminists these days that just go the wrong way.
People are so bizarre to get angry over this minute and a half almost anime clip, where we then get this person suffering from complete political brain rot, responding to Scoot-chan, getting 2,500 likes on this response that reads, another VTuber grifting to the right, using culture war as the focal point of their politics. And posting two screenshots, one of a video Scoo-chan made that says, Scoo is shocked at how violent feminists are on the internet, and the second one saying, Scoo is fed up with women punching down on men. But let's go back to the first one here. You can see the thumbnail. Why are they like this? And showing a tweet where someone said, I would love to grab her by the hair, and redacted her face against the fridge in response to a woman posting a picture of herself, presumably with the hashtag tradwife and feminine. And the second one showing this comparison between like women's romance and men's romance. And so a lot of people called this person out for their brain rot take. Here's my response saying, so this VTuber Scoo-chan made some takes that disagreed with unhinged feminists inciting violence against innocent people, and your response was to get upset at Scoo-chan, bring up politics, the culture war, and call her a grifter? What?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Calling her a grifter just because she decided to have an opinion on the internet. Man, some people are brain rotted.
Going back to that person's take, we can see other responses such as Akuma Miko saying, fellas, is it political to be a man? Nani, the Ghost Cat VTuber, saying, caring about and respecting men does not make you a bad person. You're welcome. Shoe-on-Head even leaving a response that says, didn't know who this was, but checked out their channel because of this tweet. They're super cute and funny. Thanks.
Based Shoe. She's funny. And a lot of people don't like her. Don't know why. Maybe because they call her a fence sitter. Or they just try to shove her over onto the right wing of the bird.
Got Smugalena laughing and saying, let's go, and Scoo-chan also saying, I love you so much. Check out this exchange where Rosie Belmu responds, and the OP also responds to Rosie. So Rosie says, this person doesn't even talk about politics. I'm so confused genuinely. Why are we attacking her? The OP Lycion saying, these are obvious political topics. I got these screenshots from her official YouTube channel. They literally mentions feminists and punching down in the title. Those aren't just speaking well about men. Rosie says, I guess I don't understand because I've seen many titles of people ranging from feminism to vegan, etc., who are just very loud on Twitter. Usually they don't represent the normal majority for whatever group and use it as a shield. And it's good to call out when people like this are being crazy online. And I don't really get the meme comp thumb being an issue. Also, is she even from the US? I just feel like 2 thumbnails meaning this conclusion feels in bad faith.
Well, of course, Rosie tends not to actually do things in politics land, so she doesn't really get into this, so I understand her confusion. She doesn't go into these realms, she doesn't deal with culture wars or anything like that. She does her own thing. So I can get it, where she didn't exactly understand this. However, she stepped in it where people are going to start yelling at her, which is unfortunate.
This complete wacko then responds to Rosie and says, the issue is that this women punching down on men have it so bad, thing is a fabricated incel narrative. It's a subset of sexless women-hating a-holes making up an issue to distract from women's problems, or outright saying they're deserved, and she just wants the money. What the frick, dude? Rosie's like, okay, but the post doesn't say that. What you're saying isn't even the post we're talking about. Is this your own lore added with no context? It's exhausting. The irony of this person talking about fabricated incel narratives as they literally do the thing that they're getting mad at and accusing other people of doing. Zero self-awareness. Unfortunately,
I actually saw a good quote recently that I can't remember exactly who said it, whether or not it was somebody else who was an honorable chatter of Kirsha's, or I mean even one of the different ones. Maybe it was Roach Ranch, I don't know, but one of them actually said they cry out as they stab you, and this is literally that.
A common thing to see on the internet. The good news is it seems to come from a minority of toxic, weird people, and they are getting more and more pushback from everyone else these days. And all of that takes us over to Kitsu's response, quote tweeting Lycion and saying, as this is something that was done to me, screw you. Screw you, screw the woke, screw the extremist left BS. Women supporting men exist. You are only bitter because no man wants you.
Oh, God. Oh, way to go, Kitsu. Lighting a fire. Yeah, and honestly, seeing this next comment, Kitsu just doesn't care. She got doxxed for basically saying men deserve love. And at that point, I honestly hope I don't ever have issues. I mean, I can stay small. I don't care. It is what it is. I'm just here to have fun. I will just talk about what I want to talk about and what I actually see. But yeah, getting attacked, that's the moment where you're like, okay, I don't care anymore. Gloves off. I'm just going to say what I want to say no matter what. And I don't care about the haters. You can hate watch me. I don't care.
Look how base this is. Person says, you are about to get jumped so hard. Kitsu's just like, I don't care anymore. I don't even care. Oh my gosh, look at this pathetic response though. Kitsu seems nice, but like, this stuff she says just platforms a lot of genuinely harmful rhetoric. Yeah, the people harassing like others for disagreeing with people who incite violence, I think that's like the harmful stuff. But no, get mad at the people for calling that out. Come on, dude. That's where things got a lot worse, though, as it takes us to this tweet where Kitsu says, "Well, cat's out of the bag. A lot of you have seen it by now. I've been doxxed. Authorities have already been informed."
Yep, when I heard she got doxxed, I was like, oh no. I said a quiet prayer to the Lord really quick and basically committed myself to, if I run into that stupid post, I will report it immediately. And I'm glad I never saw it. As far as I'm concerned, she is that German VTuber. She's that German VTuber. That's it. She's in Germany. I don't know which province she's in. I don't know where she's at. Don't care. She's in Germany. And I think Skew is French, honestly. I think Skew is French. So, I mean, honestly, those two getting along, that's cool. That is really cool. But of course, anybody can correct me on that one, please. If you know better, if you know the lore better than me, please do so.
And you know why I've been doxxed? Because I dared say I support men. If you see it, kindly report the post. Thank you. Okay, I legit had some people come at me and be like, how could you get doxxed when you posted your face yourself? There's more than just faces in regards of personal information, like...
Yeah, I remember seeing this post and these posts. It's where things get even more worse. Oh my god. But it's where it comes down to the brain rot. Yes, she originally on her Insta posted images with her face. Normal, average looking German girl. Big deal. Don't care. I was like, oh, well, you look close to what your model does. That's a good point. I'm going to say that, well, my model is only 1.0. This is me using Atsuyani's, kit to actually get a good model. And hopefully one day I can, through the miracle of people on the internet, if people eventually like my content and continue forward, then I can start issuing the monies that I get forward towards new models, improving my streams, improving everything I have, and getting an editor, getting mods, getting things to help me out. I mean, because honestly, in truth of everything, just starting out, I just wish I had people that were knowledgeable and helpful. People that can point me in the right direction, that kind of stuff. But it is what it is.
And yeah, she's completely right about that. But the good news is they can't stop her. She's just too based. Seems like she's in good spirits. She's handling this pretty well. She's been streaming for like hours today. I checked briefly on her stream and it seems like she's like chilling, having a good time. So these Twitter freaks basically accomplished nothing and only made themselves and all their rhetoric look even worse. Then on top of that, though, she's been dealing with this freaking stalker, like a literal stalker, since April.
Yeah, and back in April, I actually was looking into this round about my start to see if I would even be remotely interested in doing any content on this person. And after a bit of research, I was like, no, this is a parasocial that do not feed the trolls, do not give him any attention, because if you give him even an iota of attention, he's just going to start glomming at you and attacking, because he's just a serial harasser. He needs to go away. And I'm sure in real life, if he's like this, he's probably got a restraining order or two. He's unhinged. Just unhinged.
Saying here, you know what? Since this guy is harassing me over supporting men, I will say it again. Men deserve love. Simple. And we can see this person who's like obsessed with her and been stalking her.
Yeah, and those profile pictures of a game I refuse to even try to play because it just, the coffin of Andy and Lele. I try to avoid that game. People are actually playing that game, that kind of stuff. I mean, I caught a stream of somebody doing it once, and I would only play it if all of a sudden it came down to, I'm not going to buy it. If somebody gifted it to me and then wanted to get my reactions in live play, yeah, I would do that. But I am not actively going to put forward to actually do that, because there is so much disgusting in that game.
Has made a ton of different accounts that she keeps blocking on. So she's had harassment, she's had stalkers, people obsessed with her, trying to ruin her life, dox her, etc., etc., all because, once again, she's like making some of the most reasonable takes you possibly can, such as men deserve love. That's it. For another example, I think this tweet she made back on March 15th was one of the ones that initially got all these weirdos going after her to begin with, where she said, men deserve to be loved and treated right. And this got her responses like, oh, shut up. No, they don't. Interaction bait. Nobody cares. Men deserve nothing. Blocked. This is VTuber speak for, I need more donations.
Yeah, of course. They're going to call out and try to say grifter from all of the fourth wave feminists.
Of course it's a frickin' VTuber saying this. All you do is pander to gooner incel dudes who probably have a parasocial relationship with you. Men are not oppressed. Bro, look at this one at the very top. I'm not even going to repeat that one. If you're not watching this video, though, it's basically a take calling for men to all be publicly life-ended. It's a freaking crazy thing to say. And right below that, whole society, religion, and state is made to coddle them. What more do you want? And just to clarify, when I say not watching, I mean like if you're looking away or you're audio only right now, you know, that's what I mean. One more example of these sort of people getting really upset at Kitsu, and there are many, many examples. I'm just not going through all of them in this video, of course, but we'll take a look at this one where she said, I hate feminism, and this person's like, girl, you need to shut the F up. So mad. Kitsu responds saying, I already stated this, but modern feminism is toxic and not needed anymore in the West. The first wave of feminism was amazing. But if you can't realize that modern feminism is toxic, then you're part of the problem. This other person says, if this is your way of gaining fans, it's very pathetic and embarrassing.
Honestly, this is not her way of gaining fans. She did not attempt anything. This is just her stating an opinion. Well, everybody should be entitled to that, myself included.
Pathetic and embarrassing, huh? That actually describes the people going after Kitsu pretty dang well. And so, little bonus here at the end. I actually just got sent some DMs from Kitsu, DMs that she's getting from complete psychopaths.
Whoa,
like, I don't even know how to put
don't
into
tell me
words
it's
how freaking
exile.
crazy these people are. Look at this stuff, man. She got a DM that says, you are not safe, with like random emojis. What the frick? They're probably not random. This person probably put some thought into it. It's thinking like, oh yeah, I'm going to use these. But like, dude, what's wrong with you? It gets worse. She gets this DM that talks about like, I don't want to repeat this, dude. It's so bad. Like, talks about laughing if the cops ended up like breaking into her house because the docs like swatting her and freaking, you know, doing that stuff to her. You're freaking psycho. Says, I'm certain nobody would miss you. And then look at this. This is a bunch of DMs that she's getting from who seems to be that like stalker of hers. This is just so crazy. Look what this person says. I just want to let you know a few things. Let's just say that I can't promise that myself and others won't get hurt if things get out of hand. What? Oh my gosh.
This actually kind of makes me worry and think along the lines of, next thing you know, this unhinged person is going to actually commit a few felonies and try to get things to happen because she was doxxed. And, well, if I want to admit it, yes, Kitsu's my Oshi. Yes, she is. She's the one that actually got me here, and I will be forever grateful. She actually took moments out of live stream, no less. 5 minutes, just 5 minutes of her time to make sure that I was able to actually get rolling, and I will be forever grateful.
Sandry is the culture of the world. You all deserve to suffer. I live only for my beloved, but the world will always bring out my despair. Bro thinks he's the main character. My beloved was the only one who protected me over a year ago. Keep your fake sympathy to yourself, because humanity is too screwed up to have any left. You don't know how much I've... Whoa, we ain't reading that part. Talks about how much they want to take the lives of other people is what they said there. So much, and I only resisted for my beloved. Hidden media. Oh, wait, what? Okay, it's not hidden anymore. Wait. I was expecting something a lot worse than that. They say, here's what an example of someone who can actually have sympathy, kind, sweet, wholesome, and reserved. The type of wholesome person who gives head pats and snuggles to their loved ones. They have sympathy. You don't. You think all of your fans are tards. You escalate drama constantly, and it's why you got doxxed.
And this is where I personally disagree, because she actually cares about people. I mean, come on. I was nobody. Completely nobody who was struggling to figure things out, and she took 5 minutes out of her day just to help somebody who was not sub to her, was not anything. I had not even given her a dono or anything, and she took 5 minutes out of her day to help. That calls to her character. And this kind of stuff makes me upset. Because if you're going to slander somebody who will take 5 minutes of their day just to help somebody out, this guy means nothing.
Why should I believe someone like you has sympathy when you don't care about your own community? You say they're tards, and you even did today. VTubers like yourself still feel sad that your harassment campaign over AI art failed, and you're not passive enough to actually have sympathy? That's why I did this. Misandry is the culture of the world, and the only people who can truly back against it, they do it in silence because they're too passive to become as immoral as you and me. You should have been too passive even post. Men deserve sympathy and love. It's some BS grifting, manipulating your audience. I don't care about the political BS, but you pretending to be like my beloved disgusts me. Wow, yeah, I feel gross after reading that. I feel like I just read someone's like really bad fan fiction. And yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it for today. I'm also kind of out of time now, but I do think that was like all the main stuff going on here. So crazy stuff indeed. Let me know what you think about all this. Kitsu, stay safe. Like, what the frick? What the frick did we just read, guys? But yeah, all the VTubers in this video seem really cool, nice, and based. So consider checking them all out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed my coverage, please also consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yep, definitely. And honestly, with regards to that, I would definitely say give him a like and a sub if all of a sudden you feel the need, because if you like his stuff, give him a good look. Oh, scuff. Oh, pardon me, pardon me, pardon me. Of course, everything had to be scuffed today, because this thing's being stupid. There we go. There. right. Moving forward, definitely. If you actually enjoy that one. Oh, what the heck? Stupid things. Dang keybinds. Whoops. Scuffed nudity on the stream. Not actually nude, but you know, it is what it is. It reverted everything to base model. Ugh. But we were going to go over and check out Atozy, see what the update is here, because Atozy's been following the Johnny Somali thing for a while, and let's give this a good look.
Absolutely terrible for the disrespectful IRL streamer who's now stuck in South Korea because he just got hit with another deepfake charge.
Oh, another one. Lovely. Thank you, Atozy, for all of your hard work.
Which adds an additional 10.5 years of potential prison time in South Korea, which means the grand total of prison time that he's currently facing is 31 years in a South Korean prison. And he just admitted all the attention he's currently getting isn't even worth it anymore.
In the long run, do you think that it is worth it?
At this point, no.
I mean, come on. Congratulations, you played yourself. Overall, harassing strangers in public should never be incentivized in general, but massive skill issue because you simply picked the worst countries to do it. Maybe not the worst, but definitely terrible countries to be doing this streaming in, because let's be real, if he was doing this in the US, most likely he would be out on bail and he would only get a slap on the wrist for any trials that he actually went to. And I guess for some reason, this absolute moron still operates like he's in the US.
How you doing? Good, how about you?
Good, can't complain. Currently recording this video in a business center in a Weston in Boston because I'm currently traveling, but news happened, so here we are. But I mean, hey, I'm only stuck in a Weston business center temporarily. Johnny is stuck in South Korea for the foreseeable future. Because I mean, right after the trial I watched, he was playing it cool. He was like, oh, nothing's really gonna happen to me. Nothing ever happens. I'll be out in no time. A couple months later, he's lost a lawyer. He's still stuck there. And new charges are dropping pretty much monthly at this point. I don't know if he's going to get let off the hook as quickly as he thought. So it now seems like reality is really starting to set in with this guy, as his only friend and financial supporter is starting to get extremely fed up with him.
Yeah. This is getting ridiculous because the Korean courts are playing him like a frickin' goblin. They're just beating the pants off him. So, yeah. Because, yeah, they don't want to actually put him in jail because they don't want to actually have to pay for him.
As he's getting more and more charges. But at this point, most people know the story. Absolute moron, goes to Japan, gets in a whole bunch of trouble there, ends up doing about 3 months of jail in Japan, absolutely does not learn his lesson, goes to Israel, gets detained a bunch, gets a bunch of threats, ends up doing something that gets him permanently banned on his only platform that he actually makes good money from, which is Kick, and then he ends up fleeing Israel while still permanently banned from Kick. What does he do? Absolutely still does not learn his lesson. He then goes to South Korea, rinse and repeat, does the same thing all over again. Now,
and this is one of those, why, dude? Why? It's the clout chasing. It's terrible.
facing 31 years in prison because clearly he has still not learned his lesson. And nobody feels bad for him whatsoever because he has not learned his lesson whatsoever. He's just been given way too many chances to, you know, pack things up and pivot the way he's making content. But instead, he just continues to double down. Even after admitting the attention is not worth it, he still wants the attention. And a lot of people have been asking me, hey, why isn't he currently arrested in South Korea? Well, South Korea apparently operates very differently, especially when it comes to foreigners. Apparently, they don't want to spend the taxpayers' money on taking care of Johnny. They want to put that burden to provide for himself on Johnny. So now, Johnny essentially is homeless, except for Hank. He is now a burden to Hank and Hank's family because I guess Hank thinks it's a good idea to continue to pay for him. Because Hank, for some reason, thinks that's the right thing to do, even though, as you'll see, it's destroying his life as well. Johnny is a sinking ship and he's dragging everyone he can down with him. Because Johnny is stuck in Korea for the foreseeable future.
Well, one of the worst things about all that is if he so much as steps foot outside the door, all of a sudden he's got the entire loot goblin problem because everybody's going to be hunting him down because he has to hide himself. If he were actually inside of a jail with the Korean government actually taking care of him, well, they'd be able to keep him away from people who would hurt him, but they don't want to pay the money. That's just how that is. So he has to fend for himself. And yeah, Korea is not a very happy place for him right now.
He cannot leave Korea until all of his court cases are done, all of his time is served, and all of his fines are paid. Then he can finally leave. So until recently, he's had 5 charges that stuck and then 1 that got dismissed. 2 of them are misdemeanors. 2 of them are obstruction of business felonies, which hold a maximum of 5 years each in prison. Then
Yeah, that last spot right there where he's pouring the bottle out. Yeah, you're not allowed to drink in the place. No, you're allowed to go buy your soju and leave. You're not supposed to drink it there.
you have 1 deepfake charge, which has a maximum of 10.5 years in prison. And just now, they added another deepfake charge, which adds another 10.5 years of potential prison time.
Ooh, another 10.5. Ugh. That's not good.
South Korea. So he's now facing a maximum of 31 years in prison. And I guess after all this, he's slowly starting to realize that he's ruined his life.
I talked to my mom this week, and she was like, really just like, you need to stop drinking. Like,
You need to stop drinking, bro. Bro, that's not even it. You need to stop clout chasing.
it's ruining your life. You're 24, you know what I mean? You don't need to be drinking and doing this crazy because, you know what I mean? Like,
Shout out to 15 Minutes of Shame for cleaning up the audio.
alcohol is definitely the reason why I've done so many great. And it's, do not back down, never give up. It's not backing down, never giving up. It's about just bettering yourself as a person. I think I'd truly be a better person if I didn't drink alcohol.
Yeah, you'd truly be a better person if you quit clout chasing, bro. Like, stop. But you've already FA'd and you're in the FO phase right now, so that kind of sucks for you. And honestly, when this is all over, I hope you find Jesus.
I feel like it doesn't bring anything better. It doesn't bring anything positive to my life. You know what I mean? I can make good content without drinking alcohol, like, easily.
When Johnny is sober, he actually has some fairly reasonable takes. But that didn't really last for too long because, according to 15 Minutes of Shame, 1 single hour later, he was already drunk streaming.
Come party with us.
It's a quiet hour, so.
Okay, you like Diddy?
Yeah, I like Daddy.
You like this song?
Wait. Outside, I couldn't hear either.
Then come here and sit. What?
Dude, you bought another one?
No, it's the same one we had.
No, it's not.
Ace it is.
You finished the last one.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I'm lying to you. That isn't one. All right, come hang. Don't the bike. Can you dance with Diddy with me one time?
Well,
He looks so disappointed and he is holding it back. Just that image. Just this image on his face. Just the look. He's like, my God, I have no way out. I cannot find my way out. I am cooked.
why are you like drinking so much, man? Come on.
Listen to Diddy with me, please.
All right.
I mean, Hank here is just acting like a disappointed father, and this is Johnny's only lifeline in Korea. Why would he be actively trying to burn this bridge? I guess he just can't help himself. But the reason I say this is in an interview, they actually admitted that Johnny has ran out of money, and Hank is his only lifeline, even though Johnny will still go on and on about saying, oh, I actually have money, and I'm not broke.
Legal mindset and these channels, they spread like fake narrative that like I'm penniless and things like this. It's not true, but that I'm destitute and this stuff for me. I've been living an okay life here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no receipts for that. And, well, he is streaming to party. I don't know exactly what his fund income on that is, but it is what it is. If it's not providing very much money, then basically Hank's footing the bill. And yeah, that's what everybody can assume. So, with regards to everything, allegedly Hank is taking care of everything. And what are we supposed to think?
I stay with Hank, so I don't really have expenses for living.
But here's the reality of the situation.
I have sacrificed my finances. You know, like I've actually, like Johnny ran out of money because
Bam, there it is. Completely admitted. There it is.
they refused Johnny to work. So I've been actually providing for him.
He's been helping me a lot. He's been helping me with not only like legal fees and stuff like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's helped me pay for a lawyer and stuff like that. And he's a great friend. Like honestly, I respect him for that. And when I get out of here, a lot of it I do owe to Hank. He's a real man.
Yeah. So, and not to mention that I sacrificed my time and space here. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that all he says is he respects Hank for that, dude, if it wasn't for Hank, from what we're hearing, he would be homeless. So, I mean, the least he could be is a little more grateful to Hank, because apparently he was starving before Hank took him in.
And I actually fed him back to health, too. He was very unhealthy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, very skinny. Hank claims when I was living on my own in Korea, I was very skinny and gaunt, you know, because maybe my diet was not good. But Hank is definitely, people now on the internet are saying I have, like, a gut and man boobs now because Hank has been feeding. I've been on the Hank diet, and Hank has been feeding me so well.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Oh yeah,
bro.
Yeah, bro. Thank you for not letting me starve. Bro fist for that one. But apparently things are so bad that Hank, he's being supported by his family, and his family is threatening to cut that off because he keeps on funneling that money back to Johnny.
I risk my family not paying my tuition to help Johnny.
Yeah, that's where all of a sudden it comes down to it a bit. Him actually admitting that is kind of insane, because it's where the one thing that everybody kind of has to understand with Asian culture is Hank's family is probably losing face with regards to this, and he finds himself caught with regards to the situation. Like, he feels cooked, he doesn't know where to go, and he's trying to figure out a way to save face while actually giving the best route that he can. So he's in a rock and hard spot, but he's stuck. And I mean, as a Christian, I can feel for them, because they seriously are stuck where they're at. And with regards to watching this whole thing unfold, it's like these are people who are not repentant. They do not want to actually ask for forgiveness. They keep doing their ways and what they want to do and following their free will down a pretty dark path. And yeah, they're going to keep finding out.
Because I believe that helping Johnny was right thing to do. Pretty much.
His mom hates you. Your mom hates you, right?
Yeah. My mom hates you. My grandparents hate you.
And you said, despite all that, he's my friend, and wrong is being done to him, and I'm going to make sure that he gets out of Korea safely.
Yeah.
This is a real one.
I mean, bro.
Why would you ever destroy your own life and ruin your standing with your own family over Johnny? This is clearly someone who's only using him because he has no options left. But that is still not stopping Hank from allegedly pulling some strings to get Johnny a new attorney. But apparently this attorney isn't from the big leagues. He is an attorney. That's about it.
So he's got both a public defender that was originally covering his his Western District case, and a private lawyer.
Thank you to Legal Mindset. He definitely covers a lot of this stuff on the regular.
Which was on the East, which is now registered in the West. So we're going to talk about this lawyer. So we actually predicted who this lawyer was. We had a leak. Ramsey gave a leak about who this lawyer was. We now know officially the lawyer is Choi Gwang-ho, or Gwang-ho Choi. Choi is his family name. So that is the lawyer that has registered. He is a tax attorney.
Oh, Lord, help me. I shouldn't be laughing, but oh, the choices. I did hear somewhere else that allegedly the lawyer is primarily a tax attorney, but has been in criminal courts something like 5 or 6 times in the last so many years. I mean, there's allegedly. I can't speak to it, but honestly, it's like asking Oh, God. Trying to think of one of the other law tubers that I know of. Uncivil law. Yeah, Kurt. It's like asking Kurt to step aside from him being a patent lawyer on his day job to pick you up as your legal defense in a criminal trial. I mean, granted, Kurt is a decent lawyer. I mean, it's not his day job to defend somebody criminally. I mean, I'm pretty sure Kurt would do his level best if you were paying his retainer and his billable hours. I mean, he'd probably try his best to actually get you through something, so long as you didn't continue to do stupid things to FAFO. But, I mean, honestly, a lawyer is only as good as the information that they have and their knowledge of the legal everything. Now, is it really that great to have a lawyer who's primarily a tax attorney that is focused on tax law to represent you in a criminal court? Well, he's going to be referencing his law books a lot to try to actually get you through this. But that's dicey. Dicey.
He has not been inside a criminal courtroom in 20 years. Let me say that one more time. He has not been inside a criminal courtroom in 20 years. He is a tax attorney. So what probably happened, and this is something that we said, was this is probably a friend of Hanky Poo's family who got put on this case.
And apparently his entire legal strategy for the deepfake charge has been a complete flop.
His whole big legal talk, his whole big legal strategy was, we're going to settle with Bong Bong. We're going to settle with the female victim. We're going to pressure her. And they wanted to threaten her because she showed the image on her stream as well. But she showed it.
What an American way of thinking on that. Yeah, that isn't how the Korean court system works from what I understand. I mean, I may be wrong, but that's just, ooh, wow.
To show how mad she was about it, being like, this is wrong, right? So he tried to blackmail the victim. And not only did that fail, it literally backfired in his face. When he tried to blackmail the female victim, the prosecutor probably saw this and said, oh, hell no, we're going to double down and give you another one. And by the way, there will be no settlement on that one because it's with the Korean YouTubers that you are literally attacking and threatening with defamation. Remember, guys, Hank and Johnny have been threatening to sue the Korean YouTubers and myself, by the way, threatening to sue me with defamation in Korea. Do you think that people that you threatened to sue, and you are suing, you literally said you're suing them, you were threatening Daegun, you're threatening other people, do you think they're going to come to some settlement with you? By the way, that doesn't even really work in Korean court. Even if they...
Man, you can tell Andrew is just, oof, he's mad. He's trying to hold it back. Oof. And of course, this don't work.
Were to say, oh yeah, we agree. They still, the prosecutor could still bring it.
I mean, the issue with Johnny is most of what he says is hot air. Unfortunately for him, the judge and prosecutor might not know that because he's made a bunch of threats and he's said a lot of stupid stuff. So it's safe to say this backfires tremendously on this guy. Because let's be real, all he had to do after he got caught, even after making all the mistakes in Japan and all the mistakes in Israel, and I guess all the mistakes in Korea, once they charged him formally, all he had to do was shut up, apologize, be respectful, and he probably would have gotten left off with somewhat of a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, but unfortunately, as we've seen with all of the other coverage that's been going on, he's constantly got to chase the clout because he's got to chase his donos. It's just a thing because, of course, from what Hank already admitted, he's running out of money. So, of course, they got to chase that bag. And chasing that bag is going to lead to more charges, which is an infinite loop, which I'm afraid he's just slowly cooking himself like a frog in the pot.
Instead, he does the polar opposite. He disrespects the judge, the prosecutor, the victims, the people covering it, and the Korean citizens. That's not going to give you any leniency with the judge. I mean, the dude is just playing the worst cards possible, as a social experiment to see how the Korean justice system will handle that. But for every day that passes, it seems like the penalty is going to be harsher and harsher. Then to make things worse for himself, apparently, he lost a lawyer.
Just today, we had the public defender step down. Now,
What? Oh no. No. Oh. Not good.
that is likely, they were actually removed from the case. That means they weren't the ones who petitioned it. It was the court that did it, probably because he no longer qualifies for a public defender. When you have a private attorney, that typically disqualifies you from having a public defender. So,
True fact, that actually works in the United States as well. When you get assigned a public attorney, then, I mean, this is just old lore for me from way, 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 way back. Yeah, when you have a public attorney, then you get appointed one, whatever, because you're legally allowed to. And the unfortunate part is if you go forward and hire a private attorney, then all of a sudden you will get, disqualified from having that public attorney. So all of a sudden it's assumed that the burden of payment goes on you for having your legal defense. So it's assumed that you will have a better defense than a public attorney, because the public attorney, normally they're only going to put the minimal in there and possibly get a plea bargain on you, and that way you can safely plead guilty to whatever it is so that you can get a mitigated sentence. That's about what that is.
it appears that he was disqualified from that.
So now, the case will be even more expensive for Johnny, or Hank, depending on who's footing the bill here. And Legal Mindset also issued a correction here saying the attorney has actually been to court 5 times in the last 20 years, or at least 5 times. But apparently he's lost all 5 of those cases. So Johnny has now hired a guy who's gone 0 for 5 over the last 20 years, and he's still acting up during his trial. I mean, by the way Johnny is acting, you would have thought, hey, he hired some big league attorney with this big boy crypto money he has. But the reality is different. And as I stated previously, he's now admitting that it's not worth it anymore. He's banned on Kick. That was the platform he could actually make decent money on, and they're most definitely not going to take him back. And we learned that from Ice Poseidon.
In the long run, do you think that is worth it?
At this point, no.
So now,
and for that soundbite, I've got to ask, if you're admitting that, dude, why do you keep doing it?
Johnny is permanently banned on Kick. He's also permanently banned from Patreon, apparently, and Airbnb.
I'm permanently banned from Patreon. Permanently banned from Airbnb. I don't even know how. Somebody sent some kind of...
Well, the only thing that I can assume is if you're on Airbnb and you decide to trash every place that you actually stay in, eventually you're gonna get banned. Because if you don't respect the places that you're staying at, then all of a sudden Airbnb is just gonna say, no, you're a high risk for everybody else's property. So no, you're done. You're cooked. Bye.
Airbnb.
So it's hard for him to make a living streaming. It's harder for him to collect donations, and it's hard for him to live somewhat cheap, because Airbnb is a good way to live cheap when you're long-term staying abroad. So his options here are Hank's place or expensive hotels. That's tough. But that was the...
Well, they forgot the third option that they really don't like in Asia is sleeping on the street. But, that comes with an even higher risk of him actually getting loot goblined.
Quick Johnny Smalley update. I will return home soon, so I'm not recording the next video in the West End Business Center here in Boston. And I'll be back in my studio with my microphone that everyone says looks kind of sus. But hey, it's a whole lot better than the phone. But hopefully, the phone makes do for now. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Yep, definitely nice. Definitely nice. So it's one of those, yep. Yeah, it's one of those, give them a like, comment, subscribe. So, of course, we'll move forward. I wanted to actually do a little bit of research myself today and actually kind of figure something out, because there's something else going on here, and I have only seen it in passing. I never understood. I'm not exactly the greatest with regards to things, but this came out to be who is the most hated VTuber. I mean, really.
In VTubers as of recently. Don't worry, it was completely involuntary. I wouldn't condone the knowledge I've absorbed being put on anyone else. But since their first conception in 2016, and later popularity in 2019 to 2020, which has carried it all the way to the present day, where like endless mitosis, they've reproduced to the point where they are everywhere. There's a VTuber for every animal almost. I'm still waiting on a water bear VTuber though, or one that isn't.
Now that would be freaking sweet. Somebody decide to do that one, why not? I mean, that's indestructible. That's somebody that would basically take all of the hate and go, nope, didn't get through my skin.
Inspired by a slot machine that has a gambling addiction. I feel like I'd resonate with them very well. But due to its popularity, there are a range of VTubing personalities. Some more reserved and safe for work, some at the other side of the spectrum, and then some you'd think were on a different type of spectrum, with whatever the fuck this is.
Chibi. Oh, yeah.
I'm hungry. Treat. I'll do a backflip for a treat.
They make content, they stream, some have their own lore better than any of the latest Marvel movies. They have their own meet and greets at events. They even have their own concerts which sell a lot of tickets. The internet is infatuated with VTubers, and VTubing is accessible to anyone. If you can fork out the money for a VTubing model with multiple toggles and features, like a tit slider and jiggle physics, which is essentially like jingling keys for the absolute gooners of the VTuber audience. However, VTubing has become slightly oversaturated over the years, and it is hard to differentiate yourself from the sheer amount of VTubers that there is. But apart from that, VTubing comes with a lot of benefits over their fleshy counterparts, like being able to say the most abhorrent and viscous statements with complete anonymity.
Where's your fucking art degree, buddy? Where's your fucking art degree? Oh, you have one? Okay, Hitler.
Probably due to the sheer popularity and benefits of being a VTuber, you can now find many other content creators adopting their own VTuber personality. But with the vast amount of people partaking in such format, with a variety...
Honestly, with regards to the differing in personality, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to be me. That's it. Why do anything outside my box? I mean, that's just exhausting. You know? If you're not going to be your authentic true self, that's exhausting.
Of personalities and opinions, it's only natural that some VTubers would be favoured over others and some just outright hated. This brings me to the topic of today's video. One of the most hated VTubers that recently can't seem to catch a break, someone that had the complete opposite reputation only a few years ago, and someone I've spoken about before but never really in depth, Nux Taku. Yasina's Gunpai has recently removed herself from the internet due to people finding out that she wasn't in fact single and dating all her audience, which was a new level of parasocial.
Yeah, GFE. Calling out GFE. Way to go. Because, yeah, honestly, that's where the majority of followers go. I don't blame them. They're most of the people that are like, ooh, I think I got a shot. Really, dude? You really think you got a shot? That's like trying to say that you think you got a shot with Amaranth. Do you really want to go there?
Degeneracy. She even invited them to send dick pics as part of the girlfriend experience, but she's gone now, and probably has a solid terabyte of uncut penis on her hard drive, and that one other VTuber really doesn't count in this category, because most people still don't know they exist, which is partially a good thing. So the title now falls on Nux, as in recent years he's been regarded to be one of the most hated VTubers, and still to this day gets shit like a public outhouse more than any other VTuber. But who is Nux Taku, how did he become so hated, and does he deserve it?
I'm just incredibly famous on the internet, so people decide to try to cancel me on Twitter for some reason because they're jealous of my incredible success.
So for one of the most hated VTubers, you'd have probably expected this man to have spawned straight from the spread cheeks of Nurgle, with malice and hate as his prerogative, which isn't that far from the truth. Nux originally started posting on the internet in 2015 with anime-based videos which I cannot relate to in any way. Anybody that has ever made such content should be lined up and shot with hollow point 7.62 rounds, but I digress. Nux had made his start on the internet making primarily anime-targeted content, which people actually loved. A major critique against Nux from previous fans seems to be that they enjoyed it when he just made anime-themed content rather than the content he would later shift to. But we'll talk about that later. But in the current time frame, the gravy train was not ending for Nux. He collaborated with many content creators doing the same niche he was, that at the time held a lot of influence on the platform, and he even eventually reached over 1 million subscribers by 2019, just by once again doing anime content, and conveniently around the same time, by his own words, somehow got cancelled for the first time in the year of 2020, which was one of the first of many to come, and honestly, to Nux's credit, he has withstood a lot of them. You cannot take it away from him. Dude has tanked controversies even though sometimes it's down to his own actions. But his first cancellation, in his own words, was due to comments he made towards animes and anime characters. Yeah, we must have been very bored in 2020. And one
Yes, we were. Very, very bored in 2020. Very bored.
One of the comments that put him under scrutiny was when he referred to male anime characters that presented themselves as feminine under the title of traps, which I discovered recently has become a slur. Thank you for the 2020 slur patch notes 5 years later, and to be honest, I haven't heard anyone use the word trap in a while. The second thing he was accused of was being racist, because he pronounced Full Metal Alchemist like this. And the third thing was that he was sexist for talking about anime female characters in a negative way. But sorry to say, Sakura is a fucking useless character. I had to say it, she would have been more useful as a shuriken shield than anything else in the story. But out of all the controversies that Nux would later have, this one was by far the least impactful on his online reputation. But Nux's response to these allegations and critiques gives you a good example on Nux's online persona, which has persisted even to this present day. He kind of just told them to go f*** themselves, and he clammed on the people hating on him, and clarified he wasn't in the wrong because the majority of the time he was just talking about anime characters.
I don't think I did anything that warrants an apology, and therefore I, Lord D. Nuxanor, will not be apologizing.
This is the persona a lot of people revered him for. He was someone that had relatively no filter and was certainly unapologetic for it. He was loud, energetic, satirical, and in his own words, he just loved the chaos and just flexing on the haters. That is also a term I haven't heard for a while. People loved this about him. It was somewhat of a breath of fresh air for that time, which to many's horror, someone with the same characteristics and significantly less apologetic was about to become popular around the same time. But all of what I've just mentioned was before he even became a VTuber. He actually only debuted as a VTuber in 2021, which mentioned before was around the boom of VTubing. Before his debut, he was like a 2D VTuber of sorts, using his character that looked like a black tar heroin version of Sans from Undertale. But he was never considered a VTuber till that day of early 2021. And compared to other VTubing models, it did get its fair share of criticism. It didn't track very well. Sometimes his lips didn't collaborate very well with what he was saying. People once again thought he was just a Sans Undertale clone.
Yeah, and of course my tracking ain't the greatest either.
And where were the big boobas and tit sliders? Disgraceful. But many of his fans actually loved it. It collaborated very well with his online personality and content, but after this he did start to stray away from his anime themed content, with VTuber related videos and general trends at the time. Like I gave X amount to a starving Serbian child, and he even threw a few songs in there as well. But with his new type of content, he started to receive a lot more attention. Even with the disagreement from his older fans, he managed to reach 2 million subscribers, and even collaborated with the top echelons of YouTube, like Some Ordinary Gamers, Moist Critical, Umperville, and Lost Paws, who I feel like I haven't seen in a while, and obviously other VTubers like Bao and Iron Mouse. He even started a podcast in 2021 with Umperville and Mutaha, just talking about things that happened on the internet. And even though his older fans criticised him, his content had changed drastically, and he wasn't everybody's cup of tea, all of this was outweighed by the support and positivity for him. However, due to a number of controversies regarding his own actions, the tide of positivity quickly turned against him. And in the current day, he doesn't collaborate with many YouTubers like he used to. His content has mainly evolved into just slop reaction content. Oops, sorry, wrong channel. And on his second channel, he's dived into politics, which has also landed him in hot water, and many of the people that were once close to him have seemingly distanced themselves from him. Many address him now with either infamousy or just outright hate, which is very polarizing when compared to his previous years on the platform. But what are these controversies, and does he deserve a reputation that is essentially on the same level as a urinal cake marinated in piss?
And the point that I'm trying to make here is, for some reason, I became the goddamn enemy numero uno.
Now, probably one of the...
No, let's just figure out whether or not he actually is deserving of it. Yeah, I don't really know about him much. I haven't followed him, I haven't anything, so I'm just kind of learning here.
The first major and most confusing controversies Nux faced was in 2021 with VShoujo. Conveniently not long after he debuted, VShoujo is a VTubing agency with many of the juggernauts of the VTubing scene under their belt, like Iron Mouse, Project Melody, Zentreya, Fruit, and many more being added to this day. However, even before the events occurred, Nux and the talent of VShoujo were on good terms. They created content together, interacted in the cesspool that is Twitter, and just all around seemed to have a good relationship. However, in 2021, somebody was targeting VShoujo, and were pretending to be VShoujo in order to gather VTubers' personal information to harass, dox, and even swat them. Some of the emails appeared like they were coming from VShoujo recruitment, and one specifically was sent to an indie VTuber, where they essentially thought their dreams were coming true, and they were asked to join VShoujo, but first they would have to put all their information in.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the one thing I do know is I personally have been in the banking industry in the fraud section for quite some time, and this is a very common tactic from the scammers of the world. They will try to impersonate a legitimate business or something to target their favorite things. No joke, I just started and I occasionally get a scam email or a scam tweet once a day minimum. So it's like, excuse me, no, I gonna research a little bit, and then I end up looking at it, rolling my eyes and going, yeah, sounds too good to be true, likely is. So yeah, I am where I am, and I will go with reputable sources that I can confirm.
In which the police then showed up to their house because they had just been swatted. Nux had received the same email, but he knew it wasn't VShoujo. He got in contact with the VShoujo management team and cybersecurity team to tell them what was happening and that potentially more VTubers are going to fall victim to this, but VShoujo was already aware this was happening and were doing their own investigation. Nux began his own investigation by providing the wrong information to the email so they would contact him, and at one point they even flexed they had his information in a Discord server for some reason, which was provided to Nux by one of his apparent fans.
There's sources of info that I got, which are kind of hilarious. This dude was flexing that he got my real name and phone number, which he didn't, and he was posting it in his Discord servers, and one of the people in the Discord server that he was posting it was a fan of mine.
Nux was working on a full video covering this topic and spreading awareness about it. The VShoujo's cybersecurity team and management knew about this video being made and were communicating directly with Nux about the video through things like Discord, and he even showed them the video before it was released. This also involved one of the VShoujo talents that was never named.
Someone is out there impersonating VShoujo, the massive VTuber group. They tried to steal my info, dox me, and swat me, and they've successfully done this to many, many other VTubers. This is not...
Now, to Nux's credit, the video promptly spread awareness about the situation, potentially saving more indie VTubers that would want to join VShoujo, and just spreading awareness about general cybersecurity etiquette. Yes, if you received an email from Jerkman saying you're the top 1% of jerkers, and they want to deliver your own personal golden encrusted flashlight, they just need you to fill out all your personal information, they were probably lying to you. But you'd think people would rejoice at such a positive thing Nux had done. Yes, people did initially praise him for this video, and V Shoujo also thanked him, and one of the perpetrators allegedly had their information turned over to the police, but the positive acclamations for Nux quickly turned when many of the V Shoujo VTubers publicly criticised Nux for making a video on the topic with allegations levied against him of being a clout chaser and potentially putting them in danger. With the fact that many of the V Shoujo team had apparently told him not to make the video, but he did so anyway, and many of them just wanted the video removed, in which it was 3 days later. Now,
yeah, that's... Yeah, when it comes to that kind of stuff, if all of a sudden he did it after the fact when he had already been told by the company themselves they didn't want it out there, yeah, bro, you cooked yourself.
it's important to note that within the video, none of the V Shoujo members were mentioned directly. The only other VTuber mentioned in the video was Saki, who was the victim that got swatted, and in fact responded positively to the video being made. So the only way this would put V Shoujo talent in danger would be inspiring other people to do the same. But V Shoujo knew about it. Even one of the members was in the Discord with the cybersecurity team and Nux. And once again, they thanked him and even provided an official statement at the end of the video. But it appears the V Shoujo talent were not informed about this at all, hence why a lot of them were denouncing Nux's video. And to make things worse, V Shoujo management deleted their thank you to Nux, and then went with a narrative that they always told him never to make the video. And
now that's a tough one to actually decide on. That's a hard one to decide on. If you were going to tell somebody one thing and then all of a sudden within 72 hours it reverses track, I don't know where to stand on this right now, because two wrongs don't make a right. It really doesn't. That sucks.
And everyone proceeded to pile on Nux. Now, if you've been stunlocked, it's no surprise all of this is very confusing, but to break this down for you like SpaghettiOs, this is basically a tale of poor communication, where the V Shoujo members were not told beforehand about this, except for the one V Shoujo member that was in the group apparently. The V Shoujo team thought they communicated directly to Nux.
This is where all of a sudden I have to ask the question, why did they not actually communicate with the rest of their talents? Why?
That they didn't want this video to be made, with only 2 instances, one before he even started the video, and 2 when they were actively helping him with the video, where they didn't tell him directly to not make the video, and even thanked him for it. But when the V Shoujo talent had problems with it, they then withdrew their thanks, and once again reinstated their stance they never wanted him to make this video, despite once again being informed and having some part in it. They also expressed concerns about the one person he called a fan, who was the one that told him they were leaking the fake information, that they were a part of the attack and could be feeding him misinformation. That is the bare bones of what happened, and Nux was facing a mountain of backlash for it, even though his heart was in the right place and he did inform the group. I just wanted to bring light to this situation to prevent any further victims. He kind of just got thrown under the bus due to an apparent miscommunication with him and the cybersecurity and management team of V Shoujo. But when the dust settled, Nux just wanted to move on, and all parties apologised, including the V Shoujo VTubers. But for his first major controversy, he received a lot of backlash for this, even though, once again, his heart was in the right place. And the real problem was the people doxing and swatting people. But the next one is something I've spoken about before, so I'll give you the cliff notes. But it's one that Nux regards as his biggest mistake, and one that took around 2 years to somewhat conclude.
And I made a huge up. Without hyperbole, this was the biggest mistake of my career, and I am deeply, deeply sorry for spreading misinformation.
Well, at least he's admitting it.
A VTuber by the name of Tiger had a document created about them alleging they were a predator. The document was produced by individuals that were previous mods and stalkers of Tiger, and in 2022, Nux made a video with Moist Critical going over VTuber drama. Moist didn't know about a lot of these VTubers or dramas, and the video was essentially Nux giving a tour through the many controversies of the VTuber community and explaining them. However, he does eventually get to Tiger and says he doesn't know much about the situation, but then continues to convey the message they were a predator. And with someone like Moist critical in the video, a lot of people saw it.
Yikes. That's a big yikes. Yeah. Sometimes life is not forgiving when you make a mistake. This is proof positive of that.
Money.
Is this HoloLive?
No. Taiga is an indie streamer who, I don't know the whole story, but Taiga was outed to be a
Now, Tiger was exonerated from these claims a few months later, and Nux did pin a comment regarding the Tiger situation under the video, and he even removed that part in the video. He also apologized privately to Tiger for this, but many thought the damage was already done. 6 months later, Nux brings up the situation on his podcast, once again saying he messed up, and he was going off the information what other people told him, and that once again he had privately apologized for this.
Like, I alleged it also because a friend told me, and I regret it because he you know, I don't know if it's true. He ended up coming back with some sort of response. I don't know, this guy Bungo Taiga, and I apologized to him privately that I even alleged something like that, and like because a friend told me.
Now you would think this is where it would end. Nux somewhat apologized and learned his lesson that, you know, you should verify information before voicing it.
Yep, that's why when all of a sudden I try to say things, I go by my opinion, and yeah, liberal usage of allegedly. I am not going to commit to say something is fact when I do not know absolutely as fact. So yeah.
Especially when it's a serious allegation, which he did do again around the same time against another YouTuber and VTuber called Rev.
Oh, really, dude? Really? You went after Rev?
They got into a whole kerfuffle and made a video, which was removed recently, with a weird comment from Nux where if he was to do a video on Rev, with his influence and podcast, YouTube would probably take his channel down.
If I make a video roasting this dude on my main channel, YouTube will literally deplatform him. Like, YouTube actually watches my stuff, especially ever since I've been on the Some Ordinary podcast. YouTube has really been paying attention to like what we've been saying, and I'll be honest, if I would make a video on him on the main channel, I do think he'd get taken down for either bullying or the whole weird pedo stuff.
But a few months later, he would claim YouTube are actively suppressing him, which just contradicts his past claim, but he did apologize for this around 2 years later.
And some of the stuff that I said in my old stream that I foolishly uploaded on Nuxanor. And yeah, I was definitely out of pocket when I talked about Rev like 2-3 years ago, whenever the fuck that was.
But with the Tiger situation, it wasn't done yet, as Tiger thought it wasn't a good apology, because Nux claimed privately they would publicly clear the slate regarding Tiger, possibly with another video with Moist critical. But the video or cleaning of the public slate never came.
This guy Bungo Taiga, and I apologized to him privately that...
Let me be clear. Let me check exactly what he said. If I do a sequel with Charlie, I was planning on it, I'll try to clear the record more publicly. I'll also do more research. Again, I don't know right now, however, I'll try to rectify any extra damage I caused and hope you can accept my apology. This was in December 22nd, 2022. 2022! He said he was going to make a sequel video with Moist Critical. Video never came.
Now moving to 2024, Nux was...
Video never came because I think Moist probably backed out. So all of a sudden he doesn't have the folks to be able to actually do things. So yeah, kind of sucks, but it is what it is, I guess.
Still getting backlash for this mistake. People wanted him to take full accountability for this, with not just a pinned comment, not just a small segment on his podcast, and not just a private DM. And in 2024, he did apologize, saying it was the biggest fuck-up of his career, in a video where he goes over the unjust banning of VTubers on YouTube, and mentions Tiger, who was also banned on the platform. He does apologize for the situation, but adds he wasn't to blame for Tiger's deplatforming.
And I made a huge up. Without hyperbole, this was the biggest mistake of my career, and I am deeply, deeply sorry for spreading misinformation and for causing any undue hate to be sent Taiga's way. I am sorry for how I handled that. I'm sorry for how I said it. I have tried to do better since then, and I will continue to try to do better in the future.
Now, he apologized again. It should all go away now, right? Not really. Many viewed his apology as disingenuous, due to the fact he made comments around the same time previously contradicting the private apology, comments on the podcast, and pinned comment, so a lot of people thought all of his apologies he'd made were just disingenuous anyway.
Bro! Right. I thought you cared about, stood up for small creators. I do. Especially when the small creators don't have sussy interactions in regards to minors.
And still to this day, this situation is levied against him. Now, Nux, contrary to popular belief, wasn't to blame directly for Taiga's deplatforming, but he was to blame for the spread of allegations at the time and how he dealt with the situation, often apologizing, then going back on his word, then apologizing again. He all around did not deal with the situation very well, and it did have an effect on his reputation, something the next controversy, only a month later, would also do, and would receive 10 times more attention than any of his past controversies, with the most lukewarm scenario. And that is the Jaden Animations situation. Now, most people know who Jaden Animations is. She makes animated videos, mainly storytime videos, and even herself later became a VTuber. But this whole controversy boils down to Nux that had just changed his type of content to mainly just reaction-based content, which many popular content creators do, like Asmongold and Pyrocynical, the Mounting Ugly. And overall, But people had a problem with Nux due to the fact he started reacting to Jaden, and he would take the title or situation and involve himself in it. With a title like "Me and Jaden had a good 10 years on YouTube," or "Jaden Animations talks to me about dating," or
when you start doing stuff that's disingenuous, that's just kind of a why, dude? Why? Why did you go there, bro? That just don't work. Don't self-insert. That's just cringy.
"Me and Jaden forgot to file our taxes and the IRS found us." Stuff like that.
We? Who's we? There is no we.
It made it look like they were doing a collab of sorts, even though I don't think there's any recorded event of them interacting. But people were not happy with this, and a whole bunch of hate was sent to Nux, especially with the perceived reputation he already had. Someone made a fake response from Jaden, which many believed, essentially telling him to fuck off. Someone made a Google Chrome extension which adds him to every YouTube video, and someone ratioed Mr. Beast with a meme and he took credit for it. People made a Teen Titans Go reference with it, which was "and Bumblebee," which he assumed meant it was just kids making fun of him.
I'm getting cancelled by Teen Titans Go children. I'm being cancelled by toddlers. It's amazing.
Even though Teen Titans Go, yes, it is a bad sequel to Teen Titans, but it is pretty old now, and I think it aired quite a while ago when I was...
Yeah, quite a while ago, and that was kind of bad. I remember the first airing of the first Teen Titans, and that was actually good.
As a toddler, but people that didn't know who Nux was before this just thought he was the Jaden Animations guy now, which I don't know if it's good PR or bad PR, but to be honest, he was just doing what every other React channel does, albeit changing the title slightly. I don't know why he chose Jaden. He wasn't framing any other titles like this, and he had already been doing it as far back as 2 years ago, but it was just...
Yeah, that's a big thing. Most stuff is transformative. You grab what's successful and change it by 10%. That's just how, to use the really horrible quote, that's just business.
Reaction videos, which many people watch, so they don't feel alone watching YouTube in their dark, dingy basement. But anyway, now the last controversy, yes, we're almost there. I know I've taken up a majority of your time, but let's be honest, that time playing War Thunder or Dead by Daylight wouldn't have been time well spent, now would it? So shut up. But the last one, and probably the most impactful, was basically surrounding Lolly. Now,
okay, Honestly, I don't play those other games, so yeah, I have nothing better to do. Honestly, I'm still glad I'm not terminally online. Maybe I can aspire to that. Who knows?
The topic of lolly has been debated for years now, especially within the anime community. On one side you have people that argue lolly characters in anime or VTubing is only an aesthetic thing focused on characters that are small or have a specific body type. A key example used by this side is Rebecca from Cyberpunk, which was a whole different controversy back then, but she did get absolutely balled on in the anime. And on the other side, people say they are depictions of children, and if you sexualize them, you are a predator. With the example, some anime characters seen in that light are underage. But how does this relate to Nux? Well, Nux was heavily against lolly publicly, saying along the lines, if you like lolly or sexualize it, you are a predator. However, many took a look back at Nux's history with some of the content and thumbnails, some of which have been deleted and changed over the years. Many cited he had straight up involved lolly sexually in his thumbnails or suggested such themes in his content. Even at one point he had a series where he would straight up show anime porn to other influencers to get their reaction.
He has the same facial expression as Tom, bro. Whoever made this needs to be in jail.
What were we doing back then in those days of content? Jesus. He even showed hentai that was considered lolly to his fellow co-host Mudaha.
This is a hentai? First rule, hug your little sister every day. Okay, it's fine, okay. It's just hug her for at least 10 seconds. There's nothing wrong with the hug. Yeah, it's fine.
No, the third rule isn't any weirder, so you don't have to worry.
Oh.
But he was mainly being called out for being a hypocrite due to the thumbnails and the videos. But what made things significantly worse at the time was the Ava Chris Tyson allegations, where Ava was a supporter of Shadman, an infamous character online that drew NSFWR, and more notably drew NSFWR of Keemstar's daughter at the time, who was underage, which everyone viewed as fucking disgusting. But after the whole Ava Chris Tyson story, a post was made showing all the creators that associate with or endorse Shadman, and Nux was listed, where he previously included Shadman's art in his thumbnails, which he did change a few days after the video was released a few years ago.
Remember the video that I talked about that had a Shadman art in the thumbnail and I changed it? And people kept saying that, no, I don't believe you that you changed the thumbnail back 3 years ago. You probably just changed it right now. Game of Thrones memes are fucked up. Last updated thumbnail, 11/24/2020.
He asked him for a collaboration where Nux's excuse was he was going to make fun of him.
People are making this as some sort of, I am supporting him and I'm trying my best to become friends with Shadman, this monster. Which is fucking stupid if you know my content at all. I troll confront people when I collab the same way you do, talking to Keemstar, on LOLcow, and if you watch my videos, you know that. I don't mind if you hate me, but at least hate me for the right reasons.
And at one point he even had direct contact with Shadman, where multiple videos resurfaced of him talking about the DMs.
I'm trying to make his. Yes, I did get DM'd by Shadman every once in a while, back in the day, rarely. I would just wake up out of the blue and boom, I'd have a Shadman DM, and I would literally make fun of him for those DMs later. Man, that's a weird, yeah. And,
that's a way to start a sentence.
That's a way to start a sentence. And he has some interesting takes on Gardevoir.
He can keep.
There are a lot of people who have takes with regards to Gardevoir, and yeah, we'll leave that there.
But I don't think I need to hear them.
Yeah, they're weird. Dude, honestly, it was the weirdest conversation I've ever had in my life. Like through DMs. I didn't speak to him like voice, but it was the weirdest conversation I've ever had.
And even one video where he says he doesn't want to get him in trouble.
Shadman once, it was the weirdest interaction of my life. Like that dude may actually open up the DMs. Let me see if I can find anything funny he said. Oh my god, I can't even read you most of this. I can't even, oh my god, I literally can't read any of this to you. I really want to show them to you, but I don't want to like show you anything that I can't reveal. Like, I don't want to actually get him in trouble. It's just like, yeah.
But Nux clarifies he never knew about the Keemstar Shadman thing. Now, it's been unclear if Nux was ever going to actually roast Shadman if he did a video with him.
And then you have to ask whether or not this was so disingenuous.
Or if he truly didn't know about what Shadman was doing. But the fact he had direct contact with someone like Shadman, many still viewed as incriminating, even though in his own words he was just making fun of him. In his response, he also said he regrets a lot of his previous content and the involvement of Lolly in them. and he has always been against Lolly.
It wasn't a review of Lolicon. That's obviously bad faith. Probably one of the most bad faith ways to twist what actually happened I've ever heard. Now, I have said in the past, and I'll say it again, I do regret making a lot of those old videos. I have literally always been against the lolly. I made old videos where I found, like, crazy hentai, and I showed them to people for shock value. These hentai videos are on YouTube also, and I reacted.
Yeah, probably not anymore, but yeah. Keep cooking. Keep cooking yourself.
To a YouTube video being like, this is crazy that this came out of Japan and is literally on YouTube. So anyway, it was a little wild. I invited a lot of people to the call. Obviously no one thought it was weird. People had eyeballs. I mean, everyone thought that the content was weird.
A lot of this controversy just boils down to Nux saying he hated something, but he was involving it in his content and was actively showing it to people, and he also shouldn't have had ties with someone making terrible NSFW art, even if he was going to make fun of him. Now this is where the controversy stood for some time, but then the post-Nux clarity hit for Mudaha a few months later, which, to give him credit, is a good title. But Mudaha made a video basically saying he was distancing himself from Nux due to some feedback he got from Reddit.
Okay. Sus? I declare sus. Because there are things I've seen on Reddit that are just... wee.
But to go back to it, Nuxtaku is a former collaborator, a former friend of mine. And I mean really a former friend of mine, because some of the stuff that I've seen over here is disgusting enough that I really can't continue a friendship. And I really can't, like, again, excuse some of my behavior watching some of this content.
He said they had no more business relations and they were no longer friends due to things like the Tiger situation, the Shadman situation, and the Lolly involvement, which he had some part in and showed remorse for it.
But in this situation, I just wanted to provide you the context of all of this, right? This wasn't us sitting together watching Loli, just on, like, the off time. This is a collaboration for one of Nux's main channel videos. And at the time, really nobody thought about it. But we should have. It really did blindside me. There was a bias, call it, friendship bias, call it, there was other creators working on it, but really it was something that I was putting up a blind spot to, and I'm not using that as an excuse. I really shouldn't have done that collaboration, and I really shouldn't have watched that content, and if any way contributed to normalizing it.
And he went on to say he didn't know about Nux's content and he was naive to some of the things he took part in.
Yeah, this is where all of a sudden, that's another reason why I actually say sus. Because, seriously, dude, you've already done collaborations with him, and you likely have already seen previous content with him, and you're declaring blind spot. I'm not going to defend Nux and what he did. I'm just a guy from outside. But seriously, when it comes to this sort of thing, if you're going to go and believe what you saw on Reddit, I trust Reddit about 2 steps less than I trust what's on Twitter. So, yeah, bro. Keep going.
Wait, you should have more in those videos?
But in this video, he was basically taking accountability for his involvement, but then deleted the video, citing he was overreacting, and he apologized to Nux, and they are still friends.
Muda deleted his video, posted a community post, and then called me, and apologized.
Many thought this was disingenuous of Muta taking accountability, then walking it back, and he did receive a lot of flack for this.
Well, of course, you're going to catch flack no matter which way you go. I mean, there's fans of every different spectrum. It's just like anything regarding opinions in politics. Everybody's got opinions, just like everybody's got chocolate starfishes, bro.
Citing that wearing the Christian medallion was giving off some gamma radiation and probably skewed his judgment due to this. And many said he was just throwing Nux under the bus, who was supposedly his friend, so he didn't have to deal with the Reddit hate. Mudaha probably should have thought a lot more about this before making the video, but the two of them made up anyway, apparently. But the fallout of this video was a lot of the previous stuff being brought up again against Nux, and other people like Chud Logic were affected when they were told contradicting things by Mudaha and reported on it.
My boots have been pissed on, and I've been told that it's raining, right? It is 100% without question that Muta did say to me, okay, He did say to me that it was ending because of Nux Tarku and the Shaman connection, and then later changed that.
But overall, a lot of content creators before the post-Nux clarity.
And that's one of those things that, as a creator, if you're getting into collabs, it's like you're going to get whiplash if it's going back and forth, back and forth. It's like you got to kind of wonder, how disingenuous is somebody being?
Video and after did start to distance themselves from Nux.
I love me some chaos now and again, but it was a pretty rough moment there.
So in conclusion, does Nux deserve the reputation of the most hated VTuber? Looking at all the controversies, he tried to do the right thing with the V-Shoujo situation, and the Jaden Animations thing was just kind of a joke, but due to his own actions like contradicting himself at times or going back on what he says and taking no accountability, except for sometimes years later, it has led to a lot of people hating him. So yes, he does somewhat deserve that title, mostly due to his past controversies and the public perception of him. But in the present, I predict we probably won't see any more dramas from Nux. I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, I'd probably say you are wrong, bro, because he's still out there, he's still making content, and he's still got his own opinion. It is what it is. He's just going to keep making content, because last I heard, he's still on Kick, still banned on YouTube, and I'm just learning about this dude since I'm just entering the space. And it's like, I had to question, okay, who is this dude, and why does everybody hate him? Okay. I honestly don't hate people. I don't have room for hate. I don't have room for people rent-free in my head. That's truth.
Nowadays, dude is just reacting to politics and Adventure Time, and yes, he does get a lot of hate for his political takes, but I'm in no way political, or have any knowledge on politics. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say, and bye-bye.
Oh, of course. And if you actually like this man, I would definitely say give him a like, give him a sub, give you the link. Yeah. And of course, definitely go on forward with things. Definitely a different look here. Let's go with it. Yep. People who don't hide their hatred for Jesus. Okay.
Bar and said, hey, what are your pronouns? You kind of look like a they, them. And I hated that they were right.
Do you believe that you need a PhD to define what a woman is? Yes.
Yeah, good question.
Yes or no is the
I think
question.
every woman is able to define herself as a woman.
It's not how it works. There's biology and science. I would encourage every American to follow the science.
Yeah, everybody said follow the science. Well, science always winds up for debate, but then, of course, there's theories and everything else, and it always comes back around. And if you constantly say to trust the science, well, continue forward with the debate. Let's keep it rolling.
Are there risks to women when biological men are in a bathroom with them, Ms. Wiley? Yes or no?
We have every reason to want everyone to be
Can't
safe.
even
and
answer the question.
We are
So
not
the left,
safe
everybody,
or
listen
unsafe.
to the left today. They cannot say yes or no when in asking whether or not there are risks to women when biological men are in the bathroom. Can't even say yes or no in the hearing today. This.
Trust me, my household actually has plenty of discussion with regards to this one. If you're going into the bathroom just to pee and you don't actually, I mean, if you're post-op, my wife won't have a problem with you. But with regards to things going into just pee and you're not going to be an AGP about it, you know, if you're actually trans and you're not an AGP, then I don't see a problem. It's the AGPs that are out there. Those are the people that are freaky.
This is lunacy. This is absurd. This gender-bending ideology of the left is disgusting. It's absurd. It's absolute lunacy, and it is a mental health issue in our country. If you agree with this ideology of allowing men into women's spaces, you have a mental health problem in this country. And I'm going to do everything in my power as a conservative woman in this country, in Congress, to protect all of our women and girls from this lunacy that's happening in the country today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hello. So I have a few leading questions before my main one, because I have to be honest, I don't really know that much about you. So
Don't know much about him, but you actually go up to the podium. Right.
would you say that you're very religious?
I am religious. However, every one of my political positions is defensible from a non-religious perspective.
Okay, great. So I was under the impression that your beliefs on abortion were stemming from your religious beliefs.
Well, at the core, that is correct, but I can get that it is defensible from using reason and prudence, as I have done the last couple of
Cool. So you're not trying to illegalize abortion based on the Bible.
Well, no, not based on the Bible. My personal conviction comes from the Bible. I want to make abortion illegal because it is the only applicable extension of laws we already and standards we already have in the West. Correct.
I'm sorry, can you maybe rephrase that?
Eliminating abortion is the only logical step while we apply the standard we already have in this country to unborn life. So we have murder laws.
Yes.
Therefore, murder laws should apply to unborn life as it does to born life.
Okay. So,
which is an honest standpoint to have. I mean, you're not allowed to kill other people. I mean, after you're born, you're not allowed to kill people. Why is there a demarcation at birth? That is his question. It's the good way to put it.
again, reiterating, you're not trying to instate laws based on Christian beliefs because that would be unconstitutional, right?
Well, not again, sort of, but no, I am not using scripture to defend my beliefs. However, my personal convictions start with scripture, but the political views that we're talking about here are all defensible using reason and Western tradition.
Okay. So, great. That's all I needed to know, that you weren't trying to instate laws based on Christian beliefs, because I would not be able to support anything that was so blatantly unconstitutional. But thank you for clarifying that for me. I had a whole thing ready, but I guess that wasn't necessary. Thank you so much.
Well first of all, just tell me more about how you view politics, or what. Is that okay? Or if not, like, and feel free to walk away. I'm not
maybe
here.
not in this crowd.
That's okay. Thank you. What's your name?
My name is Archer.
Archer, thank you for coming up, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank you for clarifying.
And let me just say one last thing. I could tell you probably have a negative impression of Christianity, maybe. I hope one day we can earn back your support to making Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior. I'm sorry if the church has failed you in that way, because I do have strong religious convictions and beliefs, and there is a God who made you and loves you, and he sent his son to die for you.
Her name is Mom.
When America had religion in public schools, many people didn't even lock their doors. This country was founded on and run by overwhelmingly Judeo-Christian values. But over time, few people have adhered to those values, and more people identifying now as either atheist or following a different religion. Point is, when a society rejects God, everything turns into chaos. Everything turns into chaos, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, well, thank you. I do appreciate the candor and the courage to...
Well, we can definitely declare that chaos. I mean, dude, there are a lot of different things with regards to chaos. Chaos is all over the place. There are people who innately, because of their own lives or their own minds or other things, they basically are, I mean, we can see this with, I mean, things we even watched earlier tonight. The clout chasing, you know, basically creating chaos just for the fact of trying to chase after subs, donos, and money, and chasing that clout. And that is troublesome, and it's just spreading chaos wherever it goes, and you're just looking to make people mad at you and hate watch you, and that's just not healthy. I mean, definitely doesn't come from a good headspace.
come up here, but we will pray for you. Thank you.
Okay. I can't get out.
Thank you, Archer.
Let's talk about Egypt, Syria, Jordan. They have thousands of churches there. They have big Christian faith over there, but they are Muslim majority countries and run by Muslims, and the churches are protected.
I mean, look, I don't want to. You think the Coptic Christians have been treated well the last 10 years? I mean, come on, man. I mean, there was a mass persecution of Christians over the last decade. They're leaving these countries. A lot of their heads are being cut off. I mean, it's terrible.
Well, yeah, he's kind of true about the heads getting cut off. If you actually look recently, I mean, in the last 6 months, there were Ethiopian Christians that actually lost their lives basically in violence in Africa recently. It still happens. It keeps happening to this day.
I agree. There's extremist Muslims.
Yes, but I would. There is the best argument you could make is that Jesus is revered in Islam as a prophet, but not the prophet. Sure. Right? That's the best argument you could make. But in practice, Islam is not compatible with open air Christianity. They want you to kind of, at best, stay in your corner. At the very least, there is mass persecution.
With the rise.
Well, there is one other thing that I remember about Islam with regards to it's in the Quran. I can't cite you the passage as a Christian. I don't really pay attention to memorizing any of that. But they have a thing with people who are not of Islam that have to pay what the literal term is known as a jizya. That you have to pay a jizya, which is a tax, because you are Christian or are atheist or whatever, and if you're living in a Muslim territory, that is part of the Sharia law, and the tax is just astronomical.
Of like red pill content creators, such as like men like Nick Fuentes or Andrew Tate, you know. Yeah. Well, what is your opinion on Gen Z men idolizing these influencers and influencers like them? And as yourself are a conservative influencer in some way, do you think that they're like them and their followers are justified in what I would say extreme beliefs? Because, you know, they can tend to skew to an extremity. But do you think that they are justified? And even then, with those beliefs, do you think that in a way they are tainting other people's view of the conservative community?
It's a good question. Look, I have a great heart for young men that have grown up in a toxically feminine society that has told them that it's a problem that they exist and that they don't understand anything about male human development. They don't understand anything about what a 13, 14, or 15-year-old boy needs, how they grow, how they're largely immature and hyper-physical, and they know nothing about actually how to turn boys into men. The large, like, basically, the pedagogical monopoly, which means just pedagogy, you know, educational monopoly, has no idea how to turn boys into men. Here's my advice.
Well, honestly, as a Native American, there were quite a few other things, but I also remember growing up in both sides of things. I spent part of my time growing up on the res, and I spent part of my time growing up in normal American society. And I can tell you the truth, my dad's white, my mom's Native, so I'm halfways. I got sick of being called an apple when I was on the res, because as far as they were concerned, I was basically a white, you know, I was just, you know, typical Caucasian boy, because they didn't accept me. And then when I was in standard American society in regular towns and whatever, of course, my skin was too dark to be a white person. So, yeah. So, of course, I got to feel it from both ends. So, I do not agree with racism on any spectrum, because I got to feel it on both sides. And it just kind of honed that radar where I can actually see it. And I like to actually call it, does it pass the flip test? Because, yeah, I just see it right there. It happens in my head instantaneously, going, okay, they're saying this about this person, and you just read into the argument and then go, okay, I can self-insert in this argument because I have been there. Does it pass? Nope. Well, I just disregarded everything you got to say, because, yeah, I'm sorry. And it's just like people overuse terms over the years. I've even talked to my white dad about this, And he doesn't agree with it either. That, you know, people just overuse words to slander others, discredit others, deplatform people. It's getting disgusting of late, and I'm hoping for it to end so that we can all just get back to doing our things, building our content, and just focusing on our chat and people that are out there and showing love, you know? Because hate shouldn't have a space, and that includes all hate.
I always try to point to the scriptures as to the best way to turn boys into men. And the best way to turn boys into men, very simply, is to restrain your impulses, do something adventurous, confront evil, stand up for those that can't stand up for themselves, and save yourself unto marriage and find one sexual partner for your life. That's where I lose a lot of people. And in fact, I believe marriage is a moral good for yourself and for society. I think we engage way too much in the flesh. We drink too much, we do too many drugs, we have hookup culture, we watch too much pornography. It's always about instant gratification, where we as men, we enjoy the difficult and the adventurous, but it should be for noble and righteous purposes. And so, insofar as someone's advocating for that, I'll agree with it. Otherwise, I would say that not so much.
Imagine an America without religion, a country where the guiding principles of faith, which have shaped much of its moral and ethical framework, no longer hold sway. Just imagine. In such a society, every individual operates based on their own personal moral code, and the very foundation that has long helped to define right from wrong is fragmented into countless subjective viewpoints. Ladies and gentlemen, when we throw away God, everything turns into chaos. When we try to replace God with science or with whatever, everything turns into chaos.
So other than like your advice to young men, what do you think that us as a society could do to kind of steer young boys and Gen Z men to like a better path than this like very indulgent lifestyle of like constantly getting girls and like using women for...
Well, and can I just interrupt you for a second? It goes both ways. So on the other side, radical feminism tells girls to get as many sexual partners as you can to go sow your oats. And basically what the feminists have done is like every 19-year-old boy's dream, is that every girl is easy and accessible and you don't have to work to go get sex. In the way it should be, a boy should have to become a very mature, very sophisticated person to get to the point of sex. So the boy doesn't have to grow up to get what he wants anymore. And so a lot of this is on women who have basically become pseudo OnlyFans models, going around selling themselves for basically for no price whatsoever, because free sex will liberate you. Let me say this as gently as I can. Free sex drives young women insane. The more sexual partners a young woman has in college, the more likely she is to be clinically depressed, on antidepressants, because sex for men is totally different than sex for women. Sex for women is emotional attachment, it is relational, it is not transactional, and is not purely physical. For whatever reason, the way men were designed and wired, they could have sex with 9 people over 2 weeks and just like, okay, whatever, like it's not that big of a deal. It's completely different for young women. And so we have told young women through this hyper-feminist model, go act like men, and a lot of people end up severely depressed. The final thing I'll say is this, is that education is incredibly feminine in its approach and also in its staffing. 75% of teachers before 8th grade are women. Nothing against women teachers, but this is a truism of life. Young men don't like taking orders from women. I'm sorry, it's just a fact of life. Young men need strong men to say, stop it, be better. And they will sit down and shut up when a man tells them. And so, and especially one that has their act together. So all that to say, we need more strong biblical men that have their act together to actually get involved in young men's lives. And women, for the love of everything holy and good, stop giving your body away to every man that wants it and save yourself for marriage. You are the supply of the problem. So it's both sides. If women were far more careful and pious with their sexual choices, men would follow. If all of a sudden the supply side of this equation would be like, actually, sorry, you have to date me seriously and get married to have sex with me. All of a sudden men would be like, well, I better get my act together. I better get a job. Men will react to the signal of sex quicker than women will. Because young men, especially 19, 20 years old, that's all they think about all day. Sports and sex, what they think about all day long. And for young women, they're like, what do you mean? Like, there's no way. Like, no, honestly, this is a hilarious, true study. Harvard University put 20 men in a room alone, no phones, no TV, no newspapers. They stared at a wall. They put 20 women in a room. They asked the men, what did you think about? I think about sports and sex the entire time. Okay. They asked women, what did you think about? They said, oh, we were replaying conversations that we had earlier in the last couple of days. It is very rare that a man will ever repay a conversation in the history. Like, we're very forward thinking, and finally, we are very macro. Men are macro thinkers, women are micro thinkers. That is why if you sit down with somebody on campus, that is a woman, she's probably talking about the grades in her class, her relationships, her friends, or things that people said to her. You sit down to a man on campus, he's talking about his crypto wallet, whether or not his DraftKings account is in the surplus or in a deficit, and whether or not, Donald Trump is going to take Greenland.
Yeah, that's kind of the truth. That is a bit of the truth right there.
Most macro thing imaginable. We are wired differently, and it's time for our educational system to reflect that. Thank you so much.
Also, can I get a hat?
Yes, you can. Thank you.
In a society without religion, everything...
And honestly, as far as things go, yep, that guy's monologuing. Yeah, I apologize for that one. It was a bit nuts. But of course, I'm going to be wrapping up for the night. Hopefully everybody had a really good night. Like, comment, subscribe on the peoples. Give it a good shot. And we are going to see who is available today. Let's see. Who is available? Who is available? Oh, why not? Definitely have to say. Okay. We're going to get this kicked off. Yeah, I'm gonna see about raiding into the Bagman. Bagman should be good. Let's see here. Let's see. Nah, better yet, I will see about actually popping off. Let's see. Some jets. Gene. See how Gene's doing. So, as always, with regards to things, when I raid on into something, definitely don't start anything political. Keep it nice and straight. Be kind to fellow chatters and be nice. All right. Everybody have a good night. Everybody have a good night.